Hello again, Internet. It's Jordan back with you again, with something a little bit different this time around. I'm actually not going to be playing a game in this video. How novel of an idea. For this video, I'm really going off script here, totally off the cuff, really improvising everything. I basically know what I want to say anyway. But of course, actually, that's part of what this video is about. I'm going to be talking about changes that I'm going to be making to this channel. Not really different, actually, just sort of more in the vein of adding things that I want to do on top of what I'm already doing. So firstly, you'll probably notice I titled this video announcement video number 1. When, if, and when it does. I just like fucking like slapped the microphone with my hand. This is what you get for not writing a script. But that's part of what I want to talk about, is that a lot of my videos, when I did the sort of bumpers at the beginning and end of a video series, I talk a little bit about the history of the game, the developer, the publisher, what year it came out, blah blah blah, and then after I finish it I give sort of my thoughts. All that has always, for the most part, been scripted, and the last 1 or 2 times that I did that, I can't remember exactly, but I decided to just go off the cuff like I'm doing right now. I like doing that a lot more, and I think I'm going to do that in the future. The downside of it was that I say a lot like this, and kind of lose myself as I'm trying to figure out what I want to say next. So that's part of it, as I'm demonstrating pretty aptly right now. But mainly because I would go back and watch them after the fact and realize that there were things that I wanted to say that I forgot to. And so that was one of the reasons why I wanted to script it in the first place, was that I got out everything that I wanted to say. The problem was that the trade-off is that it sounds very rehearsed and stilted, and I don't want to come across as being that, you know, wooden. And I just liked how more genuine and authentic I sound when I just talk the way that I talk. Which is another sort of little tangent point that I wanted to make, which is that you may have noticed that in my past videos I haven't done any swearing. I've tried to keep it very PG. I've actually been very conscious of that, because the fact is, in reality, I swear like a fucking sailor. I totally do. It's not like it's something that I'm particularly proud of, but it's not something I'm ashamed of either. It's just who I am and how I talk. I don't know where this came from. I had this idea that I wanted to keep my channel family friendly for some reason, to try to appeal to the widest demographic of people. I'm starting to get to a point where I just feel like that's just kind of really silly. I actually, no offense, nothing personal, but if you're the type of person that is offended by profanity or vulgarity, I don't give a shit anymore. I just don't, because I don't really see the point, honestly, in censoring myself. By this point, I think it's YouTube. I mean, I think most people are past that point by now, and I just kind of, it just bothers me that I'm trying to pretend to be something I'm not, or comport myself in a certain way that I'm not. I don't mean anything personal by it. If you're offended, then be offended. I can only tell you that I'm not intentionally trying to cause offense. But at the same time, I also don't care anymore about sparing anyone's poor little feelings because you heard a couple of scary words that offends your particular sensibilities. That's on you, man. You're an adult. You take responsibility for your emotions. So I'm gonna talk the way that I talk, and that's not to say I'm gonna go out of my way to start swearing more. I'm not like trying to be edgy to like appeal to a certain type of viewer or whatever. It's like I said, it's just how I talk. Anyway, I'm repeating myself ad nauseum here, but you get the point. The big point that I really want to get to is how I release my content. For starters, as I mentioned, the fact that I'm even making this announcement video at all is kind of a change, because I also had this idea when I first started this channel, that I didn't want to have these sort of just sort of talking vlog type of videos. I wanted every video that I released to be just about the games, just about talking about the games directly and about playing the games and giving my advice, because that was going to be sort of my shtick. And in doing so, I realized that my own stubbornness was preventing me from doing other things, like making this sort of an announcement thing that I think not necessarily that it would make my channel better, but it's just that it's something that I want to do. And it's kind of silly to hold myself back by rules that I made up for myself. That at the end of the day, I feel like I don't really have a good enough reason to continue to justify it. And ultimately, it's my channel, I can do whatever the fuck I want. So I'm going to. Not to say that this is going to be a regular thing, it's just that for right now, I have certain announcements that I want to make, so I'm going to deal with it. On that note, the main announcement in regards to channel changes that I want to make is, you may also have noticed about how I release my videos, is that I so far sort of adhered to a pretty strict regimen, not in terms of scheduled releases, because as you'll undoubtedly also have noticed, they're extremely inconsistent. Really, it just comes down to whenever I have time to make a video. I'm sorry about that. I really do wish that I could be more consistent and on a regular schedule with it. It's just not in the cards for me in terms of what the time I have available in my life right now. Sorry to say, the way things are going, it doesn't seem like that's going to change anytime soon. All that I can do is say that I will try. I will try better to put out content more often. But that's really the best that I can do. What I really am talking about more is, in terms of the nature of the videos that I'm putting out, is that I pick a game and I gradually release the videos in the series for that game, and I don't move on to another game until I finish that game first. And again, that was sort of one of these rules that I created for myself. For some reason, that was part of the vision, again, that I had for how I wanted my channel to go. I couldn't even really tell you why. I just had this idea that, you know, this is what all these other channels do. They bounce from one game to another game to another game. I just felt like I wanted to do one game before moving on to the next one. I don't know if I thought that would be better. I don't know if I thought that viewers would prefer that, but I started kind of getting tired of that format, particularly because I had all these plans for other things that I wanted to do, and I just haven't been able to get to them because I've been so stuck up on this current series. I'm still working on my Small Soldiers gameplay series. My most recent video, I just released the 8th part in that series. The way that I like breaking up my series is I want to put out a video per level or per stage or whatever it is in the game. And this game is convenient in that way, in that it breaks the game up pretty decisively into distinct missions, so I'm dedicating one video per mission. As I stated in the first part of this series, there's 20 missions, so the series is going to be a total of 20 videos, which means that I've got another 12 ahead of me. And if I stick to, again, this rule that I've made for myself, it's going to be another 12 videos at least before I get to move on to another game or another series or pursuing some other ideas that I might have for my channel. And that just really bugged me more and more because, again, as I said, it takes so long to get a video out. It just really bothers me, this idea that it's going to take that much longer before I get to do something else, and I don't want to do that. That's not to say I'm abandoning Small Soldiers, far from it. I promise I'm going to keep doing Small Soldiers, and that game is going to get finished, definitely. But I want to do other things at the same time. Just to be sure that that wasn't going to be rubbing other people the wrong way, I put out some feelers. I asked people on Facebook and Twitter, and I posted the question in a bunch of forums and stuff like that, asking if people would rather me continue doing what I'm doing, finish a game before moving on to the next one, or if they'd like to see me stagger videos between multiple games. And the response was overwhelmingly, people want to see different games at the same time. And I kind of had a feeling that's what the response was going to be that I was going to get. But I decided to ask just to be sure. But yeah, sure enough, people prefer seeing lots of different types of content. And then they can, you know, if people get bored with one particular series, or maybe it's just something that's never really been interesting to them from the beginning, that way, then, you know, they don't have to wait so long between releases of content that they do want to watch. And again, it'll provide me with the opportunity to stroke my own creative brain strands, and I think I coined a new phrase there. Just, you know, just have more fun than, you know, what I'm doing right now. Not that the game that I'm playing right now isn't fun, but just that I'm slugging through it. Most of the other games that I've played, if actually all of the games that I've played on my channel so far, I've just played through the game the whole way, recorded it in basically one go, and then split it up after the fact. With Small Soldiers, I've been recording them on a per episode basis, and so that's also part of the reason that's contributed to this taking so much longer, and is just been making it a little bit more tedious. I'm going to try to mitigate that also a little bit with releasing material from some other games and getting out some of the other ideas that I have. I guess that's basically the bottom line, is that you can from now on look forward to seeing content from multiple games covered simultaneously, and I'm not really sure exactly how it's going to come out. I don't know if I'm going to be cycling things regularly, go to game A, then game B, then game C, and then back to game A again. You might see a couple from game A, and then one from game B, and then one game from C, and then like 3 or 4 going back to game A again. I really don't know. I'm totally playing this by ear. This is new territory for me. It depends, I guess, on how easy things are for me to edit, how much footage I have available at the given time, and what I'm able to put out. And I would also say now it's pretty unlikely that I'm going to fall into, again, any kind of a regular schedule. I would love to be able to do that. I just don't think it's feasible at this time. With certain developments that are happening in my life right now, which I won't get into, it's gonna eat up even more of my free time on the side. So I really don't know what that's gonna say for the total amount of content that I'm putting out. The main point is that you can, at the very least, look forward to a wider variety of videos to look forward to. So hopefully that helps hold your interest for a little bit longer.